This is the Claws Out podcast, West Tigers TV, live from the magnificent mic'd up studios here in Parramatta. Big thank you to Daniel and his team, as always, for hosting us throughout the regular season on a Sunday night. We're going to be breaking down the West Tigers thumping the New Zealand Warriors 32-14 across the ditch on Friday. I'm joined in studio by a couple of my regular sparring partners. Good to see you, Gary and Rob, for the first time this season, but special mention to Kelly, a new member of our team. I know you've been on West Tigers Life with Josh and the boys a couple of weeks ago, and you've been a big part of the ambush with Steve and Gary, but your debut in the studio, and you're going to be fronting up our NRLW coverage this year on West Tigers TV. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. So in a few weeks, we'll be starting the Hear Her Raw podcast.
What's it called?
Hear Her Raw, Gary. So it'll be with myself and Rachel, who is here with us tonight. She's just outside listening. And we'll be looking at the game mostly from the NRLW perspective, but also looking at the female perspective for the NRL as well.
Excellent. Looking forward to it, Rob. It's great to get a win on a Friday night. It always makes the weekend just that little bit better.
It certainly does. Better than having a loss and having to live with it all weekend. Look, unexpected surprise. What a wonderful effort from all the team. I can't speak for all of you, but I'm pretty sure most of our fan base is so proud.
I don't think it was unexpected by everyone, Rob.
Yeah, there was a guy with his the G beard has predicted all week that we're going to win. But to be fair, he predicted we're going to win every game.
Throwing up darts at the wall.
Yeah, but loved his positivity, and I think with guys like you and me, Eddie, we need that positivity from Gary.
I like to savour wins, Gary. I know you're going to say you'd be happy for the West Tigers to play again today, but a Friday night win, then a 10-day turnaround, get to sit on that win for 10 days. I'm a happy fan today.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to play again. Can't wait to get out there next Monday and watch them play against the Eels. I'd say the players probably get a couple of days off, so that's probably good for them anyway. But yeah, I can't wait to get to the footy on Easter Monday.
We've got a new segment today, the one word's in the bin, good, bad and the ugly is on the back burner. We might get to it later, but it's called Like a Tiger. I've asked the panel to pick out their favourite moment for the game or a special effort play. I'll start with you, Kelly.
Mine is beating New Zealand. So we haven't beaten the Warriors since 2019. We haven't won in New Zealand since 2016. And a shout out to Yodi for another one of his amazing stats. We've played the Warriors 40 times. We've only beaten them 17 times, but we actually have a positive differential against them. So when we do beat them, we beat them well. And when they beat us, it's obviously not by much.
Rob, your moment?
My moments are what Samuel Afenu did in the second half. The first was saving a try when Laban was about to ground the ball for New Zealand, and he just got his fingertips to the ball to push the ball over the dead ball line. From the ensuing dropout, he regained possession for the team, which was amazing. The third one was the 50-metre plus chase to keep the fullback in goal. That sort of effort from a second rower 10 minutes into the second half to run 52 metres, that's absolutely inspirational. And the fourth one just resonated with me. I loved it when he gave a gobful to the ref for a ridiculous penalty when the play the ball was done and New Zealand knocked it on, and he got back marched 10 metres, but luckily we can laugh about it now and it didn't cost us anything.
Yeah, big shout out to Adam G, the referee. Gary, your Like a Tiger moment?
Yeah, I actually had Sam Fainu chasing down the Madden kick, but I'll go with resilience. The resilience of this team that we're seeing this year is much different to what we've seen in the past. When that game got to 10-0 on Friday night, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is going to be 50, it's going to be 60. But the resilience of this team to come back in those situations, especially with the scar tissue that all our fans have, but a lot of the players who have been there long term would have as well, is huge for me. So that resilience to get back into that game is super impressive to me.
How big a win could it be, Kelly, in the context of the season? I know it's very early and the side has started 2-1 in the previous 2 years. In 2024, when we got the wooden spoon, we started with 2 of our first 3 wins against Parramatta and Cronulla, and last year we beat Parramatta and the Dolphins. But is there a different feel about this year?
I think it ties into what Gary was saying about resilience. West Tigers teams in the past that have got out to a 10-0, they're behind on the scoreboard by 10. We see them drop their heads, they make more mistakes, the discipline, starts to go by the wayside. I think that's the most important thing that we saw out of this game, was that there was none of that. They played right to the 80th minute with Taruva scoring that final try. They didn't sort of go, we're a bit in front, we're just going to, chill, we'll just defend the lead. They kept attacking and they got out to those extra few points at the end.
Short turnaround, Rob, no Jerome, obviously no Taylor May, away from home against an unbeaten side. Is this a different feel this year, this side?
It's definitely a different feel. There's a self-belief in this team that I've never seen before. I don't want to talk it up too much. Like, we're not buying grand final tickets or anything, but it all comes down to the preseason, the preparation. I might be wrong here, but I think they're one of the fittest sides I've ever seen in West Tigers history. And I think the fact that they're so fit gives them that belief that they can do anything. They can out-defend anyone. They can do it in long periods of time. So just to see that they're believing in their systems, they believe in themselves, they know that fitness isn't going to be an issue. We've seen New Zealand overrun 3 teams in a row, the Roosters, Canberra and the Knights in the second half, and we just did the same to them. We took a battering from them in the second half, and then we came home over the top with 3 tries in the last 20 minutes. Brilliant performance.
I heard Billy Slater this morning talking about the game, and he said not only can it change the course of a season, but can just that belief change the course of the direction of a club. Do you believe in that?
100%. I said after that game to a couple of people that I think that game could be season defining. If that had if they had a run away with that game and it turned into 40, 50 points, that I think most fans kind of felt was a possibility, then that we're back where we have been the last 5 years and facing what could be a fairly dour season. The fact that we fought back into that game, the fact that we showed character that we haven't seen from these teams before. Your comments about fitness, Rob, it's players who have been extremely unfit who are showing the biggest improvements in that area. All these little things build my confidence that this team's going to be in with a shot this year. This team's going to be one that competes this year. And hopefully when things go bad, like that 10-point poor start, we can fight back from that and we can stay in games.
And they're learning. We had a 10-point deficit against South. We got back on top and we didn't put them away. We learned from that. We came back. We got in the same position. This time we finished them off. Credit to Benji Marshall. He made some gutsy selections, especially with Tavana, who you'll probably go into. But what I love about that selection, he didn't name him on Tuesday, where he would have had pressure on him for 3 or 4 days. It was announced an hour before the game. And, he just got to prepare how he wanted to, focus on what his job was, and he did a great job.
And I think you can safely say, Rob, that in the last 2 weeks we've led at halftime. Neither of those games we deserved to lead at halftime.
Yes, I agree with that.
Against South, we kind of came out and showed why we didn't deserve the lead. Against the Warriors on Friday night, we showed that was the start of the turnaround, not the end of it, and that's what was impressive.
Expectations are probably different for every fan. Kelly, I'm probably more the glass half empty. I thought we would maybe...
You think?
But Gary speaks about being...
His glass smashed against the wall.
Being competitive.
I want you to dob him in later if you're dobbing me in.
But
okay?
Should fans like myself have expectations raised? Are we a top 8 roster? Could you say that with certainty after a month? Should we expect to make the top 8?
We should always expect to make the top 8, but I don't know. It's hard to say, yes, we are definitely going to make the top 8 this year. It's still only round 4. We've only played 3 games. We've started 2 out of those 3 games quite poorly in the first bit. But the big difference is, as we've said, we've come back from 2 of those. We were close against the Rabbitohs last week. We were really unlucky not to get it in the end. And to beat the Warriors, who were undefeated at home by what we did, you can't help but to have that little extra glimmer of hope. The defensive efforts were amazing. The resilience, so different to what we've seen from Tigers of the past.
Apart from Penrith, Rob, I've watched not as much as you probably have the first month of the season. There doesn't appear to be a huge gap in the competition. As you could throw a blanket over a lot of sides at the moment. And I think at the moment, you'd class us in that middle tier.
We've definitely started better than most. As to who was the closest to Penrith, prior to Friday night, I would have said New Zealand, and we just destroyed them. So this is really positive signs. What I like is the fact that if you look at Benji's most preferred backline at the start of the year, we only had 2 players in positions this week. We had Buller at fullback, we had Dewey at 7. We know both players that played in the centres are our preferred wing options. So you've got 5 different changes there. So is it a top 8 roster? If the backup depth can be doing what they're doing, you'll talk about Jock Madden later. He had a brilliant trial. He's got his opportunity. He's shown it. There's a few other guys, Charlie Murray, Bunty Afoa, Mav Guy. They all played great in the trials too. They're not even getting a look in. So when you've got that pressure on positions, and, Skelton had a great game in our first match, had a shocker the second week. Benji's dropped him. You don't perform, you're out. You perform, you stay. There's good signs there, Eddie.
We'll look at the individual performances, like Rob mentioned, the halves breakdown, the outside backs and the forwards, but just a broad look at the game, Gary. What was the most impressive thing for you? Was it that resilience they showed defensively?
Yeah, the defence, two things for me. Our defensive effort on effort on effort on effort, our ability to turn the Warriors away time and again defensively was fantastic. But the real big one for me is our forward pack. That forward pack dominated that what is a very fancy forward pack in the competition. A lot of people putting it up there amongst the best forward packs in the competition. And our forward pack showed them on Friday night that we're as good as them and better than them on Friday night.
Obviously, Kelly had to deal with adversity in the game as well. Not only were we 10-0 down after 20 minutes, but I think that first 20 minutes of the second half, even though we were up 16-10, it was just wave after wave after wave of New Zealand attacks. And to repel that and then come out and score that try that sort of broke the game open.
Yeah, I think that comes down to what Gary was saying about the forwards. Alex Twal was immense. He played 70 minutes. He made 48 tackles and only missed one throughout the whole game. He just kept firing and firing and firing. And then he was also incredible with the ball. So he just had the total package on Friday night. And I think that really helped in that second half to get that momentum back up again.
But defensively, that whole forward pack was something like 247 tackles and only 4 missed.
274.
274. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit dyslexic, got them around the wrong way. But that's a huge effort from our forward pack. A forward pack that through the middle over the last 10 years has been soft. A forward pack that has had poor lateral movement defensively over the past couple of years. To come out of a game with 4 missed tackles from your starting forwards is absolutely immense for the West Tigers.
On top of that, it was only 18 missed tackles for the whole game from the whole squad.
46 for the Warriors.
Yes.
So
Huge.
just a defensive effort that we haven't seen from our club before.
Well, let's stay there with the forward pack since we've gone there already. It looks like such a connected group this year, and there are some unheralded names there. I guess it's apart from Kai Pearce-Paul, it's basically the same pack as last year. But whereas last year we were accused of being the Terrell May show and he had to carry the can. It's a lot different this year. He's only playing 50 minutes. Royce Hunt's obviously stepped up to the mark. Any other guys in that forward pack that deserve a shout out? Probably the whole group at the moment.
Alex Twal, as Kelly mentioned, the two back rowers. Samuel Afenu was incredible. I thought in the second half, Kai Pearce-Paul all game he was magnificent. Appy Coruscant is the glue. He's the guy we need there. He played 80 minutes at his age, at this end of his career. What a captain's not.
And quality minutes.
Royce Hunt, what a turnaround. We discussed pre-season. What we saw of Royce Hunt now, it's like we've got a new player. It's actually like an addition to the squad. It's like he wasn't there last year. So when you got all these guys chiming in and you're winning, like we don't talk much about Terrell May, and Terrell May's playing great. Terrell May's doing his thing, but his metres were only like 50-something metres the other night. So we don't need Terrell to have 180 metres and play him for 72 minutes a game. So the load is being spread, and that's a really positive sign for us.
I guess we've been critical in the past perhaps of things like first contact and wrestle. Is that something that they're getting better at as a group?
The reason we were able to repel them time and time again at the start of that second half is first contact. All came down to first contact. We spoke to Steve a number of times who pretty much lives out at Concord now. And he was saying that about the messaging of first contact coming from Benji. And it's obvious they've been working on it all season because it's being implemented. You don't win the ruck without strong first contact. And for me, that's been probably the biggest issue with our inability to score in the red zone, with our inability to stay in games, is that first contact. We never win it in attack or defence. That has changed this year, and it's made a big difference already.
Defensive mindset, Kelly. Often the best teams in the competition end up with the best defensive records. We've only conceded 50 points in 3 games. When you look at the way the rules are these days with the 6 again, if you're averaging just over 16 points a game, you're going to win a lot more games than you lose.
The thing that interested me was the statistics around the 6 agains. I think we gave away six or 7, and the Warriors only gave away 3. We gave away 9 penalties to only 3 from the Warriors. And for the team to be able to defend those, it's something we've always also been critical of, that we can't defend mistakes, we can't defend those penalties, and they did such a great job of doing that.
The halves combination, let's talk about them. Jock Madden, obviously coming in for his first game at the Tigers in 4 years. He was magnificent at halfback.
Jock Madden did exactly what we thought he could do. again, keep referring to our pre-season pods, but he's the best game manager we've got. We've known that from the start. There's always been a question mark over his defence, which was found out early. But, as
found out a couple of times.
Well, found out a few times. We saw, like, I don't know if you're going to talk about the tries or not, but the Laban try, they actually got a good hit on him 30 metres out about 5 minutes earlier, so you could see that was coming. But as Gary was saying earlier about resilience, and just pardon me to digress on a few of these other players, and I know you want to talk about the halves, but Madden, the two wingers, and Hamasi Makasini, they all had shaky starts. Luke juggled a ball off the first kick that he had to do. Tino dropped a couple of balls, one knock on, one knock back. Makasini had a loose carry. Jock got run over the top off twice. They've got the self-belief to just put that, behind them and carry on and get back in the game. And all credit to them because they were brilliant after that early start, and they're human. They're going to make mistakes, but most, especially the kids, like a debutant and someone like Luke, who's played now a dozen games, and Makasini in his fourth, they can drop their heads and feel like, shit, I've let the team down. But they bounced back and they played great games.
It wasn't just that they bounced back, and we'll go back to the halves in a moment, Eddie. They made an adjustment in how they were defending. Now, two young kids out on the wing who on the fly are able to make an adjustment to their structure. That's outstanding. You have a look in those first couple of tries. Sorry, I drew a blank. Luke Lilly actually rushes up out of position, gets caught out. Mm-hmm. They were much more connected after that. So for me, the ability of those guys to make that adjustment, the ability of two 19-year-olds to make an adjustment on the fly. Now, I'm sure a message went out to them, but that's outstanding for their future prospects.
But back to the show. You can go back to the halves now, mate.
Just on Jock, he was named in the six, but it was obvious by looking at the stats and just the game itself that he sort of played more that 7 role. I think he had double the passes, double the receipts, and I think he had 17 kicks. I don't think Adam kicked it all in the game, and allowing Adam to get a little bit wider. I know it's probably I had the popcorn out yesterday because Gary and Rob were going at it about the long-term halves combination.
Weren't we ever?
But just on Jock's game itself, is that the strength of his game, his kicking game and ability to organise?
His kicks were magnificent. He organised the play well. More importantly, he digs straight into the line, not at an angle. Pardon the pun, but we were at 6s and 7s yesterday because the issue is Benji's best team has 2 6s in the halves. And the guys on the outer, well, not outer, but like the backups, Jock Madden and Latu Fainu, they're natural 7s. So it's just a real interesting conundrum. But, would you have Jock Madden in your best 13 in the club? I would say no, but what a wonderful position we are in to have someone not only who can organise a team, he can goal kick. I think he only missed 1 goal kick on Friday night. Magnificent performance from Jock, and especially given his grandfather had passed away the week before, and I know it was a dedication to his grandfather, but you know what? Like we heard all this family first stuff. I mean, that's team first from Jock there.
Wasn't long ago, Gary, and no disrespect to these guys, but we have, our first backup half might be a Brandon Wakeham or Heath Mason. So you've got to give a lot of credit to the club to basically have 4 first-grade standard halves going into a season.
To identify Jock Madden as a guy to bring to your club as a backup, that's first-class recruitment. A guy who has experience in first grade, experience at our club in first grade, experience at the Broncos. He wasn't great at the Broncos, but he developed behind Adam Reynolds there, and he's added more strings to his bow while he's been there. For me, what the big thing he brings to our club is something that someone else doesn't. His ability to get his runners onto the ball, his ability to get the ball out in front, and what we were kind of arguing about yesterday is that ability to get the ball out in front of Adam on Friday night. That's what gave Adam the opportunity to cause havoc that he did. That's what gave him the opportunity to run. That's what gave him the opportunity to be one-on-one with defenders and use his body size and his footwork to bust through the line. I don't think he gets that from anyone else in our club. I don't think he gets that ball, and he definitely doesn't get it playing with Luai because he's in at halfback. So his ability to get his 5'8", and he did it with Javon Andrews in the trials as well, out in front of his runners, with space, one-on-one with a defender, is second to none in our club. But you are right, he's not in my top 13. But we have to keep him that extra 2 spots on the bench. He's going to have a difficult year this year because I don't know how you don't have him in those 2 spots as your backup just in case someone does go down.
I think he's going to love being on the bench. I don't think he's ever going to be playing Magpies unless he hasn't got a run from the bench. But right now, how do you deny him? He's going to have to be there.
It's a pleasant surprise, Kelly, to see Adam on the field on Friday night because we saw him obviously limp off against South, but huge game, 210 run meters, 2 line breaks, couple of try assists. It was outstanding.
He was. I sort of heard Benji say before the game that he said that Adam was allowed to play on the condition that he didn't kick, which is why Jock took on the kicking role because it was just going to aggravate the hamstring or the groin. I think they actually determined what the issue was from the game last week. But he just did everything he needed to do. He was in the right place. There were a few times where he threw a few passes out to Tino that went either straight over his head or straight over the sideline. There was one of them. But just being able to he was just really able to read the defence and know exactly which line he needed to take in order to either get his outside men down the field and over that try line.
He's always had a strong running game, Gary, but like 18 months without serious injury now, he's stepping off that right foot and there's confidence there.
Yeah, it's the footwork at the line and his upper body strength that caused the most havoc on Friday night. I've been super impressed with him, not just the start of this year. His run at the end of last year was outstanding. And you and I have worked together for a long time, Eddie, and I've been quite critical of him at times. And I still have question marks around what his best position for our club is. But I can't fault the football he has played for the majority of games since about halfway through last season. Since that move to the halves, he's been outstanding.
So what's our best long-term halves combination?
I have Latu and Luai, but AD isn't doing himself any harm with the football that he showed on Friday night.
Where would he go then? Would he go to lock or go back to the bench?
I would like to see him given a go at lock, but the issue I have with that, if you're going to put him into lock, I would have liked to seen him get an off-season training at lock. To move him now after telling him he's going to be halves all year, I don't think it's fair. So I think for this year, Adam Dewey's my halfback, but possibly at the end of the season, I'd reevaluate that and maybe get him training for lock for next season.
Disagree with that?
I disagree. I understand the logic behind moving him to lock. Obviously, Gary wants to fit everyone in the team because we've got an embarrassment of riches in the halves. Gary just pointed out that Adam's best when he's got a bit of room and freedom to run. Playing that lock role as first receiver, he's not going to get that ability to run. He really otherwise he's just going to be basically playing like a prop.
I don't think he gets it at half though either.
No, I know, but the beauty of Adam is I think he's adapting to whatever job you give him. Like he's had to guide the team around the first 2 matches till obviously he did his leg late in the game against South, and he's done whatever Benji's told him. The other night he was told to just be a running 5'8", and what a job he did. And it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, Jock was great, but like it wasn't like it was just put on a platter for him. Like the first try that he set up for Tino, I mean, he had to pick up a low carry, stepped off 1 foot to beat Pompey, fended off Metcalf, and the pass wasn't perfect, but like that's a lot of work to do in a try. Look, he's one of my favourite players, so I don't want to be too biased about him, but I just think whatever role you give him, he won't let you down. I don't want him doing the workload of a lock. I don't think he's the sort of guy that would want to do 30 or 35 tackles a year. That's me. What's his best position? I don't know. Perhaps it is 5'8", but you're not moving Jerome out of there.
And a little bit of a cameo from Latu. Good to see him back. First time this season, only 20 minutes, but sort of played in that middle sort of lock role and straightens the attack nicely. Yeah,
it was a little bit confusing when he came out because I was like, who is actually playing in what position? Because Twiley was still out there for most of it, and then he had that 10-minute stint where he wasn't on the field. But there was one play that led to one of the tries that literally went from Appy to Latu to Jock to Adam, and then he made that break and we scored off it. So it is a real conundrum for Benji once everybody's fit again, but at the moment I don't really care because we've got what we need while we don't have Jerome, and that's the most important thing.
It's a perfect guy at the moment to have on that bench, surely.
Absolutely outstanding. You can play him at hooker if you have to. I don't like him in that hooker role. I don't think his service out of hooker is good enough, but he is an option there if you need it. He can play in any of the halves. He can play at 5'8". He can play at a halfback. He can play at lock. He can play at hooker. He's a guy that's got so many uses in your club. And I think what he really needs now is an injury-free period, a period where he can play consistent back-to-back football because he's never had that. And I think you'll start to see what he can really be. And I think he's going to be an outstanding footballer.
The outside backs, Rob, obviously we're missing Taylor May and Stafford Toa and obviously Jerome in the halves, but forget how young some of these guys are. Look it up. Makasini, 18, Tavana, 19, and I think one of them's 21. So just to have, for Benji Marshall to have faith in such a young backline, they've had some bumps defensively on the edges at times, but a lot of promise there.
There's a lot of promise there. I love the way Luke runs the ball. I think he runs the ball really strongly. I'm not going to lie, I get nervous every time a kick goes in the air and when there's a backline shift towards his edge. Makasini's still learning his craft. You know, the try for Nickel Clockstad, you could tell there was a lack of trust in Jock because Jock had missed the previous couple of tackles and he stayed a little bit too attached to Jock, which therefore, you know, made it easy for Nickel Clockstad to score. The young winger, what I loved about him was his competitiveness. I don't think he wouldn't have cared who he was playing against. He was competing for everything, whether it was a bomb, whether it was a tackle. He's got a lot of promise, but I just love the way that he went after everything. It was like he'd been playing 100 games. And credit to Benji for making a really tough decision to throw a kid like that, you know, into the New Zealand fry pan and come out looking roses.
It's a massive call, isn't it? Like, really? Like, I'm sure it was planned from the start of the week, but that is a massive plan to make that change and to announce it on game day.
Good story as well. I don't know the full story, Kelly, but Benji sort of hinted at it in the press conference that he had his issues in the first part of the preseason and that he was nearly kicked out. I don't know whether he's unfit or training wasn't up to standard, but Benji said he's had a really strong January onwards and forced his way into the team for a sort of a season pro in Skelton, ahead of Skelton.
Yeah, well, we saw in that second trial, it was a second trial,
First trial.
Sorry, that's right, against the Roosters. That try he scored where his whole body was out of the field and he still managed to get it down. From the games that he's played in the past, he's shown his athleticism and the fact that he's been able to translate that into the NRL. Not many young guys can do that in their first game, but as Rob said, like he was competing against RTS, like one of the best players in the game, and he just took it as if he was playing out in the park with some mates. He did not hesitate to go for any of those bombs. Yes, he did bobble one, but without him competing, we wouldn't have had the Warriors make a couple of mistakes going for those bombs as well, which led to Royce's try. I think it was where, so someone
might have been Kai Pearce-Paul's try off the bomb.
Yeah. That Tino then picked up and passed it to KPP. Yeah.
Yes.
One of my sort of pet hates, Rob, in the past with the side is maybe not competing on kicks. Do you think that's just an individual mindset? Tavana obviously competing for that try just before half time, and I think we got one against South where we went up in the air and there's a couple of lucky deflections, but you make your own luck.
I think that's an individual thing. That really came from Tino. We saw earlier in the game Tuivasa-Sheck drop a ball from another one that Tino contested. So I don't see the same from Luke. No offence to Luke. I just think it's an individual thing and he's very good at it.
Who you do see it from is Buller, though. Buller's chase through on those bombs. That is obviously planned. So I'm not sure about whether those ones were, but I'm not sure if Tavana's ones were, but Buller, that has definitely been in the game plan for the club.
And just talking on backs, I think we need to give a special mention to Taruva. Taruva was magnificent. I mean, it was an under sort of, sold performance because you see everyone else doing well. Didn't miss a tackle. The hit and spin to offload for KPP to get that ball over the line. He was magnificent, and he's marking guys that are twice his size.
And he's showing so much versatility. The fact that, he's probably, it's hard to say, but he's probably the best winger in the club. I have him as the best winger in the club. I think Makasini's catching him very quickly. But his ability to move the centre, he played some fullback last year. It just gives you so many options around your park, especially when you pick up injuries during a game. I am so glad we had him.
And his go forward coming out of our end, landing on his stomach, getting that quick play of the ball.
I was really happy he got that try at the end because he's obviously not struggled, but he's playing a little bit out of position at centre and getting that try. He loves getting over the try line. But Kelly, Jareem Buller, surely why would he go anywhere else? I mean, Canterbury don't look like they're any better than they were last year, and St George Illawarra, you wouldn't want to play on Shane Flanagan. No. Surely Jareem...
Didn't you love Shane Flanagan?
Let's not go there.
That's not there. There was news today out of the Bulldogs that apparently they're looking at re-signing Connor Tracy. So
go for it, Canterbury, please.
Hopefully that means that movements have happened at the West Tigers and Buller will be secured for the long term. I thought he just does his job and he does his job really well. There were a few times that he did miss it twice, that he did go to ground with the ball where there was an overlap that he potentially could have got one of his outside men over the line, but we were also right on our line. It was also right near the sideline. So you've also got to think if he had have passed the ball, could Luke or Massey have been taken out. So he's the first grade football player, not me. But yeah, he just does his job and please stay.
Numbers in the picture, Rob. Like we made a number of, I think, 3 breaks from inside our own half, but there were 3 or 4 guys backing up on either side. For me, that's just such a good sign. And in the past, we've made line breaks, and you think, the fullback or someone's 25 metres behind the play, but there were more West Tigers jerseys there than Warriors jerseys there.
I've said all year we're not going to have a problem scoring long-range tries. The only close tries we got was Royce Hunt barging over and a bit of a backline movement with a knockdown ball to Taruva at the end of the game. So we've still got to work on that red zone attack. But those long tries, we've already discussed Adams' try, even Adams' pass that he ends up getting to Luke Lowley.
Really good ball.
The high IQ he had there, and he won't get a try assist for that because that'll go down as Luke's try assist. But just everything Adam does like that, it's just so special. And that he's just a natural footballer with very high IQ.
Time to give out our flowers, our 3, 2, and 1. Kelly, go for it.
My 3 points, I had Adam Dewey. I just thought he had the full package. He defended well, he ran well, he got those passes out to his outside men to get them over the line, and I just thought he was my 3.
Yeah, my 3, I moved around a little bit on it, but a guy who I really criticised him re-signing over the off-season, Alex Twal was outstanding on Friday night. To back up, outstanding game. He's playing football I didn't think he had in him. He's hitting the line hard. He's bending the line, which I didn't think we'd ever see from him. He's offloading. And defensively, he is holding that middle. And I've always been so critical of him in that 13 jumper. He's got a mortgage on that 13 jumper at the moment. He has been outstanding.
Just in general, though, Rob, on Twal and Dewey, I think they'll both re-sign until the end of 2029. And a few Tigers fans are a bit puzzled about that, thinking why the rush, because they're not going to be in high demand. But I think it goes to the mindset of both the individual player and the side that you get the long-term contract. It's easy to relax and start saying, well, I've got another 3 or 4 years. I can just cruise through this year, but they're hungry.
Well, given Adams, problems with his knee, I mean, we all questioned, why would you extend him? And I love him. So I'm too biased when it comes to Adam Dewey, but to actually extend Alex Twal as well, I thought that was crazy. But look, I mean, it's only a few games, but wow, they're repaying the faith they've had shown in them. So, full credit to both those players. Alex Twal, like you mentioned a couple of those offloads, they just weren't normal offloads. One led to a try. One might have led to a try if Adam had seen Tino on the right wing about 20 metres out. Great performances.
Your 3?
I tossed around, so it was no doubt it was going to be Adam on Friday night. I actually only rewatched the game once, and that was this morning. I've actually gone Kai Pearce-Paul. He's just, and look, you could have given it to anyone. There's 5 or 6 players you could have given it to, but Kai Pearce-Paul, if he keeps this up all year, it's ridiculous what he's doing. He scored now as many tries as he did in his Newcastle career, 3 tries. But it's the defence, it's the hard work. Diving on that ball at a crucial time after we turned it over and they had no one at dummy half, that was the play of the game, that when the game was on a knife's edge and the Warriors could have got a 2-score lead. And then, a set later, he's backing up to score a try next to the post. Wonderful performance. Alex Twal, Adam Dwyer, they're all worthy of being man of the match.
2 and 1 points for you, Kelly?
My 2 points was Twali and my 1 point was Jock.
Yeah, I had 2 points for Appy. I think we haven't mentioned him at all during the show, but he was simply outstanding. We may have mentioned him at the start. I can't fault the way he played on Friday night. I'm not a fan of him playing 80 minutes, but it was 80 quality minutes on Friday night, so he gets my 2. And my 1 went to Adam Dewey, who I thought was fantastic despite my reservations about his position.
My 2 went to Alex Twal. He's gone to a next level now. This is just an amazing, where's he been all his career? So 2 for Alex Twal. Again, he could have got my man of the match. And my 1 point was to Appy. I think unless Appy's throwing dummies and sidestepping Latrell Mitchell twice in every game every week, people don't notice the hard work and just the way he guides us around the park. And to do it for 80 minutes at his age, unbelievable performance.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's. I've put it on the back burner, but we're going to use it now, Gary. You guys don't have to give me 1 for everything. But was there anything in the game? Let's start on the maybe bad or ugly side. The areas we need to most improve.
Look, the good, I would say it very quickly because I pretty much said it earlier, was defensively. We were defensively so strong on Friday night. My bad is just our slow starts. And it's not just this week. It's been every week. It was in the trial games. We need to be better. We need to show up better. We need to be prepared to start. And we can't let teams get out to 10, 12-point starts every week.
Your good, bad, and ugly, Kelly. You have anything?
My good and my bad were exactly the same as Gary, but my ugly was the captain's challenge that we burnt fairly early on. And when you're playing a team like the Warriors in New Zealand, it's probably not the smartest thing to do. We ended up with a 9-3 penalty count and the 6 agains. So and Sam Weller's lovely words with Adam G. I just think he'd called held on that tackle, and then they still decided to challenge it. I think we should have just let it go and moved on, and we would have had our challenge, because there were actually multiple other times during the game where we could have really used that challenge.
My good, I mentioned earlier, Eddie, it's being down 10-0 2 weeks in a row, but this time being able to put the game away, and not just like by a point or by 6 points. We ran over the top in the end, so that was my good. My bad, just to prove that I'm objective, because I love Adam Dewey, was prior to us getting on the scoreboard, some really shocking passes that he threw in the game. One behind our back line, one that should have been intercepted by Dallin Watini-Zalesniak that could have got them to 16-0. There was one that went over the head of Tavana early in the game. He's definitely got to work on some of those passing skills, but my God, did he make up for it after that.
Benji,
I do have an ugly, and it is directed to our esteemed colleague across the table from me. So my ugly is Rob Bashara's bank account after he pays for Rob Jr.'s fuel for the next 12 months, because they had a bet on that game that Senior would be paying Junior's fuel for 12 months if the Tigers won.
Lucky no Junior in here tonight, but I'm sure he'll have his say.
Don't you worry, he'll be cashing in on it. I can't believe the Tigers would do
Mate,
that.
I hope he goes on to some long trips, drives around the country, and all on your dime.
Road trip to Melbourne in Junior's car.
Benji Marshall, Rob, he spoke obviously in the press after the game. He said it's probably the most resilient performance he's seen. Is he exceeding your expectations as a coach? Because you, no doubt, all of us, probably apart from Adele, had strong question marks last year. But I know his win percentage won't jump off the table. It'll only be in probably the high 30s. But it's his group now, clearly, and the signings he's made, they all look to be playing quality football.
If I could have given him the man of the match, it would have been Benji. Like that coaching performance to do what we did, as Kelly said, we haven't won there since 2016. Getting to replace Gary as Steve's +1 on Monday mornings occasionally, and getting to speak to Benji, and just hearing the confidence and the belief and the stuff he's been telling us that, some we've shared publicly, some we haven't. There's a clear difference in how you see him speak now to how he was last year. There's no hesitation. There's no not backing himself. He really believes in what we're doing. And the best part about it is the players have all bought in on it. You see it at training on Monday morning, mate. There is so much harmony there. There's so much good talk. More importantly, they said, we don't care about the talk. We want to show it on the field, and they're doing it.
They took the side over on Tuesday. Now, that's obviously a coaching plan. Go over there, get prepared, be ready to play on Friday night. That's huge. I don't think we see that from him in the past. The wording he used around it was, we're going over there to ambush them. And they surely went over there and did that. I was very critical at times last year of our lack of attacking structure. That's improved out of sight this year. It took a while to develop, and we only had nice attacking structure when Dream Buller was playing last year. Dream Buller's not that involved in the attacking structure that we're playing this year. I don't think we'd miss him as much if he was out this year. So his ability to look at himself and the improvements he's made in his coaching, I think the Galvin affair played a big role in that last year, and his self-assessment is really impressive to me. His ability to adapt what he is doing, which I think comes across evident in his press conferences when he talks about the changes he has made in his coaching. And you hear the players talking about how he came back, and the standards are so much higher this year than they were in the past.
Is there anything specific with the attacking structure that you've been impressed that they've changed, or is it just time on task, squad spending time together? Because I don't watch every team play, but it seems like we have a fairly unique sort of style, relying on some offloads and second phase play that other teams maybe wouldn't risk.
The wording he uses for it, and it's wording that we can be quite proud of, because it actually, he uses claws out, and he says, when I say claws out to the team, I want them to express themselves. What he means by express themselves, that's when he wants to go on the attack. So he wants to win it through the middle, but then once we get that field position, once we get control of that game, he wants them to attack. And it's not attacking from in our red zone. It's attacking from our own side of halfway at times. And that, to me, has been the real change. And I think we started to see it towards the end of last year. You think back to that Bullard try against the Cowboys. I think that's kind of that evolving into that attacking dynamic sort of side. But we don't do it all the time. We do it when we're ready to do it, and that's what's important.
All teams talk about this next man up mentality, and we've heard it a lot from our club, and it doesn't.
It's meant nothing.
It's meant nothing. If you watch that game the other night, okay, we had Alex Twoll being our ball playing lock. Alex Twoll then moved to running prop, and Sione Fainu started doing the ball playing lock role. Then Latu Fainu came on. He started doing the ball playing lock role. Then the last 12 minutes or so, Alex Seyfarth was at first receiver doing that ball playing out the back to a half. So they're all interchangeable now, and that's what I love about it. I think it doesn't matter who's out or who's in. If they know what their role is, they will play it, and that's really good signs. We were complaining we don't have any ball-playing rocks. Now he's teaching basically 4 people how to play that ball-playing lock role.
Well, and Terrell May can do it as well. He hasn't shown it this year, but he did last year.
It's funny, one of his, I think, his mentors in his first 3 years of his coaching career is Wayne Bennett. And I don't want to compare him to Wayne Bennett, but like, for guys I know that go and watch South Sydney training, they say it's not like Wayne is doing the tactical side of it, but he's often just going around speaking to players. And surely half the battle at that level, when you've got elite players, professional footballers, is making them connected and wanting to play for each other. And I think that's going to be his strength as a coach long term. I
think we've already seen that in literally every press conference for any player that signs with the club, is they mention how badly they want to play for Benji. They want to be here and help Benji build the next, like, the dynasty of the West Tigers, essentially. And I think that having somebody who is so highly regarded in the rugby league world is a true asset to the club, because, yeah, people are knocking the doors down to come and play for him. And then the fact that he's then able to get out of those players, like, as you said before, Bunty had an amazing preseason. If his daughter hadn't been born, he potentially could have been playing these first 4 rounds. But we're getting these things out of Royce Hunt. We're seeing these players that have come to the club thinking that the old school West Tigers, we're coming here for a paycheck, but that idea has gone out the window now, and it's now high standards. And if you don't meet those high standards, you're out the door. And you and I, Eddie, we've spoken a lot over the years about players don't come to our club and improve. Now, and would go through lists of the team and has this player, and it's a no every time. It's hard to look through our team at the moment and see a player that hasn't improved. And I know it's only the first 3 weeks, but it's hard to look through our list and find a player who hasn't improved on what they were showing last year. And for me, improving players, that's what a coach is. And so far this year, you have to give him like an A+ on that. The week ahead, Rob, obviously huge game next Easter Monday. I think we've booked in Monday night, so we'll be coming straight from CommBank Stadium to here. So there'll either be steam coming out of your ears or you crying tears of joy, one or the other. But it's a massive rivalry game. If there's one game I'd probably prefer beating, it's Canterbury, but Parramatta's right alongside it. Yeah, Look, we'll do a preview on Tuesday, but I envisage it, if the weather's normal, to be quite a high-scoring game. One thing Parramatta have shown this year, no matter how poorly they've played, is they can move the ball around. They can spread defences around. They've got a good kicking game with Mitchell Moses there, and our wingers can look shaky. I'm not going to say it's over the line by any means. Even if we lose to Parramatta, for the first time in a long time, I have belief in the team. I'm the first to be critical or the first to say, yeah, we might win 8 or 9 games, but that's it. I know now if the boys play to best of their ability that, we can match a lot of teams, most teams actually. The one team obviously that is an issue is Penrith, but I'll tell you what I'd be worried about with Penrith. Penrith are just slick with their back line compared to us. They actually know how to execute better in those red zone areas. I'm happy to go dance with them in the forwards. I think our forwards are fantastic. Big occasion, Kelly, Easter Monday, standalone game. We've had some memorable ones in the past, a couple of 1-point wins, but last year was a bit deflating. Yeah, last year was. The year before was great. I feel like when it's our away game at CommBank, we do better. So I'm riding that one this year. We went to I don't think I've missed one Easter Monday game because there was a cyclone in Fiji and I didn't get back from Fiji in time. But it is my favorite fixture of the year. I did prefer it back when it was at Accor, when it was a bit more of an even playing field. But I think we just have to go on Monday and, as Rob said, do our job. And I think we can do it.
That's one thing probably in the past couple of years, reacting to wins. Like we're going to get a great preparation in terms of coming off a confidence-building win. You get 9 or 10-day turnaround, but Parramatta coming off a loss, so we've got to match their intensity. I know we'll preview the game Tuesday, but that's always something in the past where we've bounced off some good wins with a loss.
Well, you have a look at our inability to win 3 games in a row. So that kind of relaxes the whole club after they get a win, and then you don't show up the next game. That's one of the signs that we're starting to turn around. So that's a big thing I'm looking for on Monday is our ability to come out and back up a good performance with another good performance, because we haven't been able to do that in the past. What I will say, if we play our best football, we win that game. And it's been a long time since I've gone into a game against Parramatta where I thought if we play our best football, that we win the game.
I thought you were going to throw something about Parramatta. They do throw a
I
lot
was
at you,
just
though,
scratching my
Parramatta.
chin, mate, but you took it as a cue that I wanted to say something, that's all.
No. Anything else, guys, we want to mention from Friday night or the week ahead? Because I think we're just about done in here after.
No, I just want to reiterate the fact that I think a lot of our fans will have a lot of self-belief in the team and the club now, and we know there's going to be some bumps along the road, but when you're getting your second string outside backs to do a job, and you know that there's, hopefully Taylor comes back, in 4 to 6 weeks, Jerome in another 3 or 4 weeks, and there's actually no rush to bring them back if things are going well. You can maybe give them the extra week. I know there's a period there where we have a Saturday night game, and I think we back up maybe to a Thursday night game against Canberra, so that we might give Jerome another 4 or 5 days because you don't want him playing, 2 games within 5 days. It's just a good time to be a West Tigers fan. But, if Parramatta turned out to win Easter Monday, it's not doom and gloom. But I'm not going to lie. Last week it felt doom and gloom because I thought Adam wasn't going to play. Luai's out for I don't know how long. We hadn't got the results of the scans, and we didn't know Flatu Fainu was coming back. So we only thought we had one half potentially. And
Well, according to Adele, we're going to play Sam Fainu at 6.
I know, but let me just counter that ridiculous suggestion of playing Sam Fainu at 6. Adele suggested last year many times with me on the podcast that the problem with our club is we only get into away games a day before. Okay, so for the club to go in 3 days early, full credit to the club for doing that. Maybe they're listening to Adele.
I think they are. Speaking of Adele, he'll be live with myself on the Coach's Report in about 5 or 10 minutes' time, so stick around for that. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Kelly. We will see you this time next week.